The Backrooms to the internet is basically a community world building project combining creatively terrifying monsters and liminal spaces. To briefly summarize why liminal spaces are so famous on the internet, they're known to be able to evoke strong feelings of eeriness, loneliness, and sometimes even nostalgia. And if you look closely at images of liminal spaces, you can start to feel those emotions yourself. It's an unsettling yet surreal experience. But in the founding lore of the Backrooms, no clipping out of reality will send you to a world of these liminal spaces. And here, they're not just lonely, they're inescapable. And where there's the word inescapable, there must be a prison. So my friends and I have recreated these liminal spaces into literally one of the most secure Minecraft prisons ever made. And its name is an acronym of all of our names. So allow me to present Minecraft's greatest Nether prison, the FAACK Rooms. The FAACK Rooms is the second most humane prison ever created. The cell is nearly 50 blocks wide and 100 blocks tall. Prisoners in the cell can walk around dozens of liminal spaces and place and break anything they want with no guard intervention. To be honest, if someone actually built this prison on a server, I would willingly get myself imprisoned here. Now, with all of this freedom, how can this possibly be one of the most secure Minecraft prisons? Well, first of all, even though prisoners can break anything inside the cell, they can't break outside the cell. That's because the outer walls are made out of obsidian. Now, anywhere in the prison that you see wood, that's actually made out of slabs. There are no planks in the prison, so you can't make a crafting table and you can't make a pickaxe. So mining a single block of the outer wall would take 30 hours. And this is where the first security measure comes from. Directly below the cell is a 2-hour timer. Every 2 hours, this timer dispenses an area ban item. Now, as you probably already know, an area ban item basically just has a ton of data. So much data that your client can't even receive it. And when your client can't receive the data for an item, it kicks you from the game. Now, if it takes 30 hours to mine a block of obsidian, but you get kicked from the server every 2 hours, how are you supposed to mine out? The answer is you can't. But maybe there's a more clever way out. Now, obviously the prisoner has to have their spawn set in the cell, otherwise dying would just set them free. And this prison uses a respawn mechanic discovered by Squilly. If you place a boat in front of your respawn point, Minecraft will try and spawn you on the boat. If there's a block on top of the boat, Minecraft will spawn you on top of that block. And the game will keep looking higher and higher until it finds a safe place for you to respawn. But if the prisoner places a block on their respawn point, then they'll spawn one block higher. And if they place a whole pillar, then they'll spawn in the next room. And if they fill in the next room, they'll spawn higher. All the way until now, the game thinks their respawn point is in the very top room. And if they obstruct the top room, where do they respawn? On the bedrock roof? No, because just below the bedrock roof, we dug 3 blocks directly above your respawn point. So if you obstruct all your possible spawns in the cell, you respawn in this tiny room with no blocks. And as mentioned before, you don't have time to break obsidian, so that escape plan fails. Now, you may already know about Squilly's respawn glitch, but what you may not know is that if your respawn point is unloaded, the glitch doesn't work. Well, that's a big oversight. I hope some other famous prisons realize that. I've come up with this respawn contraption all by myself. When the chunks are loaded, this boat works as normal, forcing your respawn point into the cell. But if the chunks are unloaded, you'll respawn in this lava. And since you just loaded the chunks, next time you die, you'll go back to your regular spawn point. But there's a big problem with building a prison in the Nether. We have to use respawn anchors. If a respawn anchor runs out of glowstone, the prisoner loses their spawn point, and if they die without a spawn point in the cell, they get set free. So if the respawn anchor runs out of glowstone, we need to somehow stop the prisoner from killing theirself. The solution here is iframes. When you join a Minecraft server, you're unable to take damage for the first tick. And if you join a Minecraft server in range of an area ban item, you can only stay on the server for 1 tick. So I've created a contraption that detects if the anchor is low on glowstone, and if it is, it opens a temporary respawn point in this lava and enables an area ban. So the next time you respawn, even though you respawn inside lava, you'll physically be unable to die because you can only stay on the server for 1 tick at a time. After that, all you have to do is wait for the guards to log back on and refill the glowstone. Then you can log on, burn to death, and everything will be back to normal. Okay, but come on, surely with all the items in this cell, there has to be a way to escape. Well, actually, piglins and zombie piglins can spawn, and that means you can get gold, and that means you can get ender pearls. And theoretically, you can use a pearl glitching trick, which basically lets you elevate up through solid blocks. So to keep you from pearl glitching all the way to the outside of the prison, there's a huge layer of string and observers over the entire cell. And if you go into the string, the observers can detect it. And if they detect someone pearl glitching, they'll send a signal down to another area ban. banning the entire cell, and you can't escape if you can't even join the server. One downside to this area ban is there's no way for it to be disabled, so if someone somehow gets into this detector, the entire cell is in range of an area ban forever, and no one in the cell can join. Now you might think that's a big problem. How could this prison be humane if there's a way in-game to get you permanently kicked from the server? Well, the good news is that this is the only way to activate the permanent kill switch, and activating it is really hard and might even be impossible, so rest assured if you're ever imprisoned in the backrooms, you'll probably be safe. But wait a minute, don't you remember that piglins exist? Can't piglins give you obsidian and fire charges? The prisoner could just build a nether portal in the cell and get out, right? Clever thinking, but actually no, even that escape won't work. The equivalent of every coordinate in the entire cell is covered by an area ban in the overworld. So actually going through a nether portal would also get you kicked from the game forever. So I hope I've said enough to convince you that you can't break out of this cell. But can you break in? Not really. The FAACK Rooms is the first mainstream nether prison to be built below the nether roof. That means it's completely protected by bedrock on the top and the bottom, so there's no mining in from above. And you can't mine in from the side because of, you guessed it, more area bans. Pillars of them in fact, each of them being held by a zombie piglin with blast-proof armor, increasing their effective range from 64 blocks to 96. 96, Sefid! I said it right this time. And of course, busting in with a nether portal doesn't work because, as I mentioned, the respective overworld coordinates are also area banned. Now there's only one escape method left in this video that I haven't mentioned. You've probably realized that I've mentioned using area bans a lot because they're very useful for solving a lot of problems, but they're useful for escapists as well. So what happens if you start a visit? You have to let a visitor, who could be a threat, inside your prison. Now in a traditional Minecraft prison, if you see the visitor try and help the prisoner escape, the guards will have an emergency button to enable an area ban in the visiting section to stop their escape attempt. But what happens if the escapists area ban the guards first? The guards can't hit the emergency area ban button if they're already kicked from the game themselves, and if the guards are gone, no one can stop the visitor from breaking in. But the FAACK Rooms can counter that too, because we have a cat. You see, in Minecraft, when the owner of a cat leaves the game, the cat will automatically sit down, and you can detect this with a redstone signal. So if the guards leave the game for any reason while a visiting process is happening, the cat will send a signal and automatically area ban the visitor. So if you area ban the guards, you area ban yourself. So even visitors can't help the prisoner escape. And the visiting area ban is just out of the range of the cell, so the prisoner can never be punished if the visitor tries something sketchy. And now, with bedrock and strategically placed area bans, this prison is basically impossible to break into. And with a massive, beautiful, highly explorable cell with so many items and so much freedom, this is basically just Daedalus Labyrinth in the Nether, but it's 100 times cheaper, making it easily the greatest nether prison ever created. And you can download the whole FAACK Rooms prison for yourself by going to my Discord server. The link is in the description. Of course, it couldn't have been done without my build team. All of these pearl-proof, portal-proof, pearl-portal-proof, piglin-protected places were precisely, perfectly produced by my pretty precious partner, Corealis. Corealis. If you like how these rooms look, you should definitely subscribe to them, as well as avatar.png. He's an expert on nether prisons, and he's the one who taught me that you can't fill a respawn anchor with a hopper. He makes pretty cool videos about Minecraft prisons, so if you like my content, you should definitely subscribe to him. Get him to 1,000 subscribers. I know there's more than 1,000 people watching to this point, so if he doesn't make it to 1,000 subs, I'll know it was one of you who didn't do it. Oh, and while you're at it, I'm almost to 69,000 subscribers myself, so you might as well subscribe to me too, just for the memes. Well anyway, that's the end of the video. Have a good afternoon, good evening, and good night.